Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Junkyard Interviews.
Welcome to Junkyard Interviews, my friends. I'm super excited today to have you on the show. Our guest is somebody special, somebody you've not heard of, but you should have. This young man's name is Danny White. He is an up-and-coming hip-hop artist out of the Boston area. Interestingly enough, he sets himself apart in a number of ways, chiefly among them being his skill set. The guy's got an awesome flow, a great ability to capture lyrics, but he also has a challenge that most hip-hop artists never face. This young man has Tourette's syndrome. Let's meet Danny and explore how he's found success in a world that's kind of stacked against him. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Junkyard Interviews. I am, as always, your host, Jack O'Keefe. Sitting down with me this afternoon is an up-and-coming rap artist that is poised to make a huge impact in the world of rap music. Danny White. Super excited to have you on the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? I'm Danny White. I'm from the Boston area. I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts. I'm 27 years old, and I make hip hop. A lot of it is about, I have Tourette's syndrome, so a lot of my music started just kind of writing about, how I felt living with it. But I'm also really into comics and video games, so I just kind of incorporate everything I've been to, and I just kind of talk about what I feel, what I like, and I just put it in a song.
A couple of your songs that really stood out to me is Gaslighting and then That Never Ends. Both of them pretty hard-hitting lyrics in terms of just, kind of calling out some things and talking about how you're not the same person you used to be. And there's a really interesting stuff going on there. So talk to us about your inspiration for some of your songs and how those came to be.
Sure. So I really only have three big inspirations from music because I don't typically listen to any new stuff. As far as hip hop and rap goes, because I don't want to subconsciously, start to use other people's sounds or something. So I only just stick to what I've always been a fan of. And that's Kid Cudi, Guru from Gangstar, and Mac Miller. And the song Never Ends was kind of, I'd say it was inspired by Mac Miller and Russ, actually. And it was more in the sense where I just wanted to have a song that's just, about being positive, but also, being frustrated. And then Gaslighting, I wanted it to be kind of the complete opposite, where, one of the lines I said was, "Don't get mad at me because I'm just reacting." And it's one of those things where I've always felt anytime I talked about things I went through, people would kind of dismiss it and just tell me like, "Bro, it's not that serious. It's not that big of a deal." So I wrote Gaslighting just because it was kind of just a response to everyone that's kind of gaslit me my entire life. And some people who listen who don't know me will be like I sent it to a YouTube review. There's a couple hundred people watching and they're like, "Wow, this kid's really arrogant. He thinks he's better than everyone." But I'm just like, you guys aren't even listening to what I'm saying. You guys are doing exactly what, I'm kind of frustrated about. So that was the reason for writing that.
And that's interesting that you bring that up because that's not the only negative experience you've had with some outside comments and stuff like that. I read a piece that you'd put up about some folks who called you like Eminem wannabe and a culture vulture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did you respond to something like that?
I have my days where I feed into it, but most of the time I kind of I realize whatever energy I put out is what I receive, So a song like Gaslighting, because it has that kind of arrogant energy, because it's really just me, talking my shit in that sense. And when you do that, that invites people to say things back where you're just like, "Oh, F you guys." And then someone's like, "F me? Yeah, F you, buddy." So it's one of those things where I can't really be mad because that's what I put out. So people that don't know me, of course, are going to make assumptions or they'll give that energy right back because they're like, "Who's this kid?" So I try to just brush it off, soldier it off. But sometimes I do have days where I still feed into it and I respond to every comment.
That's interesting. So oftentimes one of the things that we talk about on my show a lot is that, art is a true expression of freedom. And in some cases, the only expression of freedom that we have left. So, exploring the art and that's within you, no matter what it is essential to a person's survival. And that makes me wonder. So, you're out there making music and dealing with some online hate and dealing with some personal challenges as
Yeah.
well. So, why do you do it, man? Like, what is it about making hip hop that makes you feel alive?
Um, it's weird because I didn't make music in high school or anything. And then I went to college, I dropped out, worked a bunch of dead-end jobs. And then one day I went to Job Corps, which for those that don't know what Job Corps is, it's a trade school you dorm at. And I wrote raps, but nothing like on to take it serious. Like I just kind of did it on the side, like just for fun. And everyone at Job Corps used to freestyle. And I would just kind of hop in, freestyle, and I got pretty good at it. And then I just started writing. And then I wrote a song and I actually performed at a dance. And there was like, I want to say like 250 kids at the dance. And I performed in front of everyone. And it was kind of like I have a video of it that if anyone goes on my Instagram or anything, they can find it. But it's the reaction from everyone, and also it just kind of took me to another place when I performed. And it was almost like when I perform, it's like I don't even have Tourette's almost. So for me, it's kind of like, I think it's corny when you call music therapy, but at the same time, it was therapeutic, as ironic as that is.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that concept. So, speaking of beats and sampling and things like that, so, who's your beat doctor? Is that you or?
So I have a couple producers that I do go to. A lot of times I just shop around on BeatStars, but I usually find if there's a beat I really like, I'll go to their page. And if they have more beats that are in the realm of the type of music I like to make, I usually stick with that producer. Like there's one producer right now I've probably bought maybe like 10 beats from the last 6 months that I plan on recording with. I also have some friends that make beats, but I'm very, very picky with my beats. Like to the point where it only takes me sometimes even half a second. The second I hear a beat, like if I'm not grabbed in that half a second to a second, and that sounds really like prude, but I've always went on that principle. If it doesn't capture me the half second and it like keeps me pulled, I just hit next, like immediate. I don't even bother listening to the chorus of the beat, the bridge, or anything. I just move on.
Interesting. I mean, it's good to have that feel for it, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so I feel like we got a good feel for what the process is like. What would you say the overall message behind your music and your brand as an artist would be?
Just to be genuine. I want when people listen to my music, I want them to know like that's who I am.
Why is that?
Because there's a lot of people that make music that I've met, and they're nothing like what. It's one thing to have internet personality, but then it's another to claim you're one type of person, and then behind closed doors, you're not even remotely close to that person. And I think it's because there's a lot of disingenuous people already in the music industry. There's a lot of disingenuous people that I've grown up with, and I just think it's one of those things where if you put certain people like that in a position where kids can look up to, even though it looks like it's the right message, sometimes I just feel like maybe you should let the people that are actually genuine and actually are the people they say they are be put into those positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a powerful statement, and I appreciate you throwing it out there that
Yeah.
that really resonates. So, man, this has been a killer interview. I'm really excited to see where you go from here. And speaking of that,
Thanks.
what are the next steps for Danny White?
So I'm actually working on an album right now. It's a two-sided album. I actually decided to add a second side to it about a week ago. So the first side is called Pinocchio, and it's just a metaphor for living with Tourette's. And sometimes I feel like there's someone pulling the strings, and so like I do things that's out of my control. And the second side of it is Geppetto, where it's on the days when I feel good about myself, and I'm the one that's pulling the strings and in control. So it's one side will kind of be like the insecure music, But then the other side of it is going to be my confident music, where I feel good about myself. So that will be coming out, I want to say within the next month and a half. It was supposed to come out already, but I've had with COVID and work, I've had to push back some things, unfortunately.
Awesome. Well, you definitely have to let us know when that's due to release, and we'll
definitely
we'll advertise it on the page and the channel and all that stuff too.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome, man. I love that concept.
Thanks.
Well, you know what, man? Thank you so much for sitting down with us. I want to give you an opportunity to shout out anyone or anything that stands out to you before we jump off.
Shout out to everyone in Wynn, Massachusetts that's making music. My best friend Tyler, he's coming out with an album tomorrow. Everyone in their group, they go by KMF. There's Scammy, Cashy, KMF Trey, and my buddy Dennis. They actually invited me to their studio the other day. And they've recorded maybe about 100 songs within the last 2-3 months. They're machines, and every song is just good. So I just want to shout out to all them and everyone in Wynn, Mass, everyone that's making music, but specifically everybody in Wynn, Massachusetts, because there's a lot of hardworking and talented artists.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been just so much fun of an interview. I'm excited to see what comes next for Danny White and his career. Stay tuned. More Jack's Junkyard after these messages from your local station.
Can we stop with the tank for Trevor nonsense? Let's just stop. Stefan Diggs is not going to be traded.
Holy potato.
There's 300-400 guys that are flipping burgers right now, doing DoorDash, walking people's dogs that will literally play for the cleats that they get.
Let Dalvin cook.
I will personally go to the Target Center, to the front office of the Timberwolves, and burn that place to the ground.
I thought this was Minnesota, not call her daddy. For you, man. Fantastic. That's all.
Thanks for the page views, Terry.
We appreciate it.
Minnesota Sports Live. Get in the zone.